Yeah!
It's Josh Williams here, and welcome to the One Man Podcast, episode number 51 for Wednesday, May 2nd, 2018. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, onesies. How are you guys doing this week? Did you guys have a good week? What's going on with you? I did some shows in Kingston at Absolute Comedy there. I'll tell you guys about. I saw Infinity War, and I'll talk a little bit about that without any spoilers, I think. No, I will probably be very good at not doing spoilers since I haven't spoiled it for anyone in the week almost that I have seen it. What else did I do? I played some board games with my mom, which was very interesting because she is, she's a listener. So how do I say that she's not very good at learning new things in a nice way? No, she's great. I was playing a game. What was great with her is that she likes the theme and she learned it quite well and she's very excited. So nice to see her excited about anything. I was driving back and forth to Kingston the whole week. That was a thing. I got some interesting, kind of exciting comedy news. I'll read your emails, all sorts of fun stuff. So let's just dive right back into it. And guys, first day last week, Wednesday, of course, was first day in Kingston. So I left for Kingston and I did the show there that night. There was some great comics. Wednesday's a Pro-Am night at Absolute Comedy. That's true of all three locations, Toronto, Ottawa, and Kingston. Pro-Am night, the first half of the show is all amateurs, or at least pros working on some new stuff. Everyone's doing little 6-7 minute spots. And Kingston had a car full of comics come all the way from Montreal to do spots on the show. And each and every one of the comics on the show did particularly well. I'll be honest, I was very surprised at how well they did. Not because any of the comics were, not good. It wasn't like they were shit or whatever. Just typically on a Pro-Am night, you don't tend to have the entire lineup do well. Sometimes, the idea is that some people are working on new shit too, right? So when they try something, it doesn't always work. And that's fine. Doesn't mean they're a bad comic or even that the joke's not funny. Just where it's at currently is not funny. It's like being a carpenter. You go to hang a door. Sometimes you need to shave a little off the bottom because it's just not going to be a door until you do that. And that's the thing with jokes. Sometimes you got to shave a little bit off the bottom of the joke, or it's just a hate speech. So that was a great show. And of course I drove back. And the reason being is on Thursday, I had tickets to go see Infinity War. And I think I had mentioned it on the podcast before. I think I'm starting to, you know what? I'll tell the story, but I'm gonna say I think I'm starting to seem like a bit of a mama's boy, and you know what? I'm totally okay with that. I think when I was younger, I've certainly never been a mama's boy, despite the fact that I sound like I'm trying to spend like I spend all the time with my mom. First off, I am very lonely, but you guys are already aware of that. I'm working on a lot of personal shit, a lot of self-reflection, and there is a certain amount of loneliness that comes with that when you got to just look yourself in the mirror and kind of feel like in a dark place. Anyways, not to dive deep into shit, 3 minutes into the podcast, but just saying, I mentioned some weeks back, for anyone who may be new to the podcast, I'd mentioned some time back that I just want to be able to have some better relationships with the people close to me. Because they're not always going to be around forever. And I would like for things when they end, to end good instead of just being these relationships. Like I want some fucking Cats in the Cradle song, about, never spending time with my mom. And then she passes away. She's getting old, right? And nobody's guaranteed tomorrow. I don't want to have any regrets, spend the rest of my life fucking regretting everything, So, not only that, but there's a lot to be said about, it's funny. I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and we'll talk about that later on in the show. But I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were just sort of talking about how, that old adage that if you want to know how a guy's going to treat you, look and see how he treats his mom. And I'll be honest with you, for years, I was not very good. I was not treating my mom very good, and I wasn't smacking her around or anything. But I just mean like our communication wasn't good. And the funny thing is a lot of us have, I don't want to say like bad communication. You know what? We all have different ways of treating people. And our intentions may be good, But at the end of the day, the older you get, the more you learn, the more open you are to new ideas, the more you learn, you just, this, sometimes you can't change people. And I remember when I was younger, I just wanted my mom to be happy. Funny enough, that's another codependent thing is about, trying to change other people instead of trying to change yourself. I remember my mom just not being a very happy person for a very, very long time, almost as long as I remember. A nice person, a very pleasant person, very good to other people, but not very happy herself. Who does that sound like? This guy right here, right? Nice and fun, but at the end of the day, there's resentment and shit like that. And I just wanted my mom to be happy. And for years, I would fucking have arguments with her, and I would say things to provoke a change in her, right? So it's almost like that tough love kind of mean coach kind of thing, but it didn't do any good, right? Because I've since learned that, when people feel attacked, they attack back. And at the same time, you can't change anybody. So not knowing any of this stuff, my relationship with my mom was just getting like worse and worse and worse. And we basically just fought all the time. We care about each other. My mom's my number one fan. No question about it my whole life. But just in terms of just having a good relationship, like there wasn't a lot of trust. There wasn't a lot of emotional security on either side. So as much as we had each other's back, it was just, it was tough. This was, by the way, not in my notes. So I don't know why I'm going down this road. I think it's just, I think maybe it's a little insecurity on my part. I'm worried that people are going to think that I'm just this little bitch ass mama's boy. And at the end of the day, I think I just have regrets, and I want to have a good relationship with her. And you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. For the first time in years and years and years, I'm seeing my mom getting excited for things and being, getting hobbies and stuff like that. And it makes me happy to see her happy. So I'm kind of trying to nurture that rather than like, again, one of those things, she dies. What am I going to be worried that, some people were like, I spent some time with like Jason here at the house. I'll get to the story. The point is, on Thursday, I drove, Wednesday night after the show, I drove back to Ottawa. So I was back home Thursday morning when I woke up. And the reason being was that I bought tickets to Infinity War, and my mom wanted to go with me. So when I bought the tickets, I bought a ticket for me and her. And she's really enjoying these Marvel movies, as am I. And so the plan was to, she was going to leave work a little bit early. I'd pick her up and we'd drive to Kingston, maybe grab a bite to eat. I gave her a little tour of Kingston when we got there. We got to shoot the shit in the car and, just chat and stuff like that. And, gave her a nice little tour of Kingston in the car. She got to see all of the sort of the big sights to see. We didn't have too much time because of course I did have the show, but we went and we had I went to the show at Absolute Comedy. I had an opportunity to, she had some dinner and everything like that. I had some drinks at the club. I was able to take care of her, which was kind of nice. And then we went to go see Infinity War, and that was super exciting. Before I get to the movie, that's basically what it was. I drove all the way back to Ottawa to pick up my mom, and then drive back to Kingston. And after the show that night, I drove back to Ottawa so she could, she had to work the next day on Friday. So it was nice. It was a nice opportunity to spend some time with her. And I'm sure that made her feel really good. The fact that we went through all the trouble to, get her and everything. We even had, before we left town, we had lunch at Panera Bread. It's a nice little place. Just had an opportunity to have a nice sandwich at Red. I think you're a big fan of Panera because they had them in the States when you lived there. So I don't know if, I don't think they have them in London, but I thoroughly enjoyed a nice poppy seed chicken salad. And I think like an avocado chicken bacon sandwich. It was delicious. And so like I said, all that mom shit aside is just I'm enjoying spending time with her. I'm enjoying seeing the relationship go away. Not go away, go a different way. And funny enough, I'm sure a lot of you guys listening, I know my brother listens to this. I know that Red, I just mentioned you. I'm sure you've seen arguments, Jimmy and Mika, if they're still listening. Chris, I don't know if you're around for any of that stuff. Tiff, I don't know if you've ever heard us argue. But the thing is, anybody who knows me at some point has probably heard me fight with my mom. So the point I'm making is just, it's nice to go the other way. And like I said, if she ends up, keeling over, or if I do, you know what I mean? I don't want her to be left with that. So long story short, relationship's going much, much better, and I'm enjoying spending time with her. It's nice to see her having a little bit of fun. And I'm also being very honest with her too about where I'm coming from and the shit that's going on with me and, my vulnerabilities and stuff. It's so funny. The more I open up to people, like, the more it's funny. It's almost like, we're seeing the opposite in politics all the time, but it's like everybody's attacking everybody else. Same as social media, where everyone's attacking everybody else and trying to be right and go after people. And, when you attack people, they get defensive, they attack back, and there's no productivity. But I find the more that I'm able to just sit down with someone and just fucking put who I am on the table and be like, you know what, if you're gonna fire back at me, then it's one of those things where I'm okay, because I'm like, I don't need that person's approval, People I care about. It still fucks with me, people I care about, when it's like, when I feel like maybe getting judged or whatever, but what the fuck? Hey, tune into the One Man fucking Enlightenment podcast. The motivational speaker. Anyways, whatever. If you think I'm a mama's boy, you know what? Maybe I am these days, but it's not, I don't need to, it's not her taking care of me. It's me, trying to take care of her and, trying to nurture some nice. And, and be a good dude. God damn it. Look at a fella and how he treats his mom. That's basically what I'm saying, is if you get in a relationship with me, ladies, it's going to be 20 years of us fighting. and then eventually I'll take you on a trip to Kingston. Basically, if you want to see how a guy is going to treat you, look how he treats his mom. 20 years of bad. And then a day trip. That's what you get to look forward to. That's your carrot. Woo! I do not know where that came from. Gesundheit. Yeah. So Friday was an exciting day. You know what? Fuck it. You want to go back to the movie? You guys want to talk about the movie? Has anybody seen Infinity War? Holy schnitballs. It was, what a great movie. If you guys are enjoying the Marvel movies, got to see it. There's a lot of stuff that happens in it. I won't ruin anything, but, wow, I will say, as always, recording this Tuesday night, right? So I'm a little tired. It was fun. It was a lot of fun, a lot of things going on. It's hard to absorb everything in one sitting. I definitely will have to go back and see it again. Just so I feel like I fully understand everything that was going on in it. But in terms of, the ending and everything like that, fully understand what's going on there. It's got a very Empire Strikes Back kind of feel, guys. It's, they've been saying in, promos for weeks and weeks that the movie is its own movie and it's standalone, but it certainly doesn't feel that way when you watch it. So, yeah, no spoilers. If you've liked the other Marvel movies, then you owe it to yourself to see this. There's no reason not to. You gotta see this fucking movie. The CGI is amazing. Thanos is certainly the main character in this movie. He has the most screen time out of anybody in the movie, but it's really good. It's a really, really good flick. And, I look forward to the next one. The next one comes out, next year. There's 2 movies that come out, between. They have, Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel, which will be coming out before the next, Avengers movie, title still unknown. So, yeah, if you want to have your fucking mind blown and just shit to see for 2.5 hours, even if you're not, super into them, it's one of the biggest movies ever. It's shattering fucking movie records and everything like that. So go see that, enjoy it. And of course, maybe in a week or 2, we can all talk about it and what we thought. So, have fun with that. I had a great time. I can't wait to see it again. Friday, back to Kingston again. Started my morning off at home. I, threw some board games in a box, and I knew that I'd actually be spending the night for a change in Kingston without having to drive back. So I brought some board games, headed back to Kingston. We did a really, all the shows went so good. I had so much fun, working with headliner, and my buddy from, originally Buffalo, now lives in DC, is Matt Bergman. Super funny guy. And, Carol Zoccoli from Toronto was on the show as well. And we just had, we had some good shows. On Friday night, it was so funny. We got home pretty late from Absolute, just having some drinks, whatever. And then there's a giant games room in the back of Absolute Comedy, condo in Kingston, shuffleboard and pool and ping pong and all this stuff. So Matt and I we were playing ping pong for like an hour in the back. A lot of fun. And then we came in and tried to play a game of Codenames Duets. Oh, I'm sorry for the yawning. God. I tried to do it early today, but I'll explain why. I wasn't able to do it. I played some ping pong, tried to play a game of Codenames Duets, but we were too drunk and it was too late, so that didn't work out. On Saturday morning, I got up and I got a fucking haircut. It's about time. I was like way too shaggy for the longest time. In fact, I was 2 weeks out going, I got to get a haircut. But I'm like, but I'm in Kingston soon. You know what I mean? Kingston's not that bad, you know? Everything's super cheap in Kingston. You know what I mean? It's $10 haircut in Kingston, right? I give $20 and I'm a superstar, right? It's 100% tip. Amazing. In Ottawa, it cost me like $35. Ugh. What's going on? $35 for a haircut, right? And you got a tip on top of that. And they do a better job of it in Kingston, actually. So very, very pleased with that. Do you guys know what a parking ticket costs in Kingston? $10. That's $10 if you get caught. Not how much it costs to park. A parking ticket. If you get caught parking where you're not supposed to park. Sorry. Trying to blow something off the mic here. I heard how loud that was. Sorry, guys. And we're working our way across. My OCD won't let me move on till I get this thing off the microphone. Yeah, if you get caught, you pay $10. So you can actually park in an amazing spot and get away with it for free if you're crafty. But worst case scenario, you're paying $10. I pay $20 in Ottawa to park conveniently 12 blocks away from where I'm going, like downtown or in the market. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. I will park on the curb and put a $10 bill under the windshield wiper in Kingston. That's fucking, it's amazing to me. I can park anywhere I want for $10. Here you go. It's, yeah, I love going to that city for the costs of things. I don't know why this happened. Can you give yourself contagious yawning? Probably. So yeah, I had a good time there. What else did I do? Got my hair cut. I kind of fucking backslid a little bit because I had Little Caesars pizza. I think I got a fucking problem. It's such a balance between, like, if you're like, I'm trying to save money and lose weight. You're like, well, how the fuck? You can't do both. I mean, I'm sure you can. People out there are like, oh, you just buy a fucking head of romaine lettuce and that's all you eat all day. Fine. Well, I can't do that, especially when I'm on the road. Starving. Give me some food. So I went to Little Caesars and bought one of those $5 lunch combos afterwards. And I felt bad for parking in the Metro parking lot where I wasn't supposed to be when I got my hair cut. So I went in and I'm like, I got to buy something. And naturally, just walking down the frozen food section looking for something to bring back to the condo to make for like dinner later. And all I see is the Haagen-Dazs is like $3 off. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that. So what, I go out and I'm like, I'm going to eat healthy. And what do? I buy a $5 Little Caesars pizza and a fucking tub of Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Go back to the condo. And I was planning on going to the gym. I actually packed my gym bag so I could go to Good Life when I was in Kingston, but it was raining all day Saturday. So already it didn't feel like going out. And then on top of that, I come back with a pizza and a fucking tub of Haagen-Dazs ice cream. And yeah, I crushed both of them. I'm ashamed, but a little, for the record, I mean, like it's a saving grace, but it's like a little 4-piece, small little square lunch pizza. Just for the record, I didn't crush a whole fucking giant pizza, but regardless, I demolished that fucking tub of Haagen-Dazs. So easily had like 1,500 to 2,000 calories. Saturday at the condo for my meals. So that was horrible. I was immediately ashamed of myself. Went to my room and had a nap afterwards. I basically ate myself into a food coma. And then I was ripping Chernobyl farts all fucking evening. I woke up like, I don't feel good at like 7:00 before the show. Go to the bathroom and just, let loose a fucking troll mud. Oh, that's horrible. Yeah. I had horrible gas and I deserved it. I deserved to have sick stomach and horrible gas all night. It was so funny too, because when I was at the show on Saturday night, I was trying like every time sorry, but I get real with you guys. Every time I ripped ass, I'd stand there for a second, then it would smell how horrible it was, and I'd have to leave because I didn't want like, you have to see the way that the showroom was set up, but it would be like I was sitting in this one spot, like waiting to go back up because I was hosting. And then I'd I'd feel like just like a little squeaker fart come out silent, but then the smell would be so horrible. I'm like, well, it's that table with all people and then just me by myself. I'm like, they're totally going to know it was me. So that's how the magic dies. Like, oh, that's the comedian. I think he shit himself. Anyways, that's a horrible story. So yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like the whole idea that like, oh, I want to lose weight or so I say. But then you see something on sale. You're like, well, I can go over there and I can buy that fucking healthy quinoa bullshit salad, but it's $12. Or I can just spend $5 and so it's like, I'm saving money over here. It's costing me money to be healthy and alive. I don't know. It's tough. Does anybody else struggle with that? Write me in, guys. Let me connect with you. What's going on? Contact at onemanpodcast.com. Do you guys go through these struggles? Do you try to go out and eat healthy and then just like the shit is what's on sale? Like I thought the whole point of fast food and garbage was that it costs you more because you have to buy it like they're making it for you or whatever. And it's cheaper to eat at home. But like you fucking try to buy healthy and eat at home. It's way more expensive. Not just the time currency, but the regular currency. Bullshit. How the fuck do you eat healthy and less? I don't know. It's a frustrating balance right now, especially when you're on the road. Everything's expensive. And again, I'm still kind of angry. I'll be honest with you. I'm still kind of fucking angry that I bought a shitload of good food, vegetables, everything like that. I made my own hummus. Like I worked my ass off, prepped a bunch of really healthy food, and then I got the fucking flu and it all went bad in the fridge. Like I'm talking fruits and vegetables and yogurts to make smoothies and all this stuff that I made. And then just got fucking sick and I couldn't eat any of it. It all went bad. Obviously you got to get back on the horse or whatever, but it's frustrating, man. Like I have very little motivation to begin with. I do what I can. I don't do my best. That's lying, but I do what I can. And it's difficult when you get fucking kicks and shit like that, where you're just like, oh, fuck it. And then of course, after I was done with the flu, I was weak. I hadn't eaten in days. I put some of the weight back on. I think I got all the way down to like 283. Because of all like the water and everything that was coming out of me. And obviously after you start drinking stuff and your body's healthy again, it starts retaining the water again. I'm not blaming it all on that, but I was actually eating good for a while. The fuck was my point? Yeah, the point is as soon as I was able to fucking move and hydrate, I was hungry. I was like, fuck, I need food. I don't have anything. Everything's bad in the house. I need to go out and get something. But I was so hungry. And obviously I, do a little McDonald's breakfast sandwich drive-through. I don't like regular McDonald's, but their breakfasts, so dangerous. Anyways, yak. Saturday, I'm ashamed of myself. I ate pizza. I ate Haagen-Dazs. I made smellies in the showroom. It was a great nap. And it was the last show. I had a really good last show. I left as soon as it was over. Put my audiobook on. I've been listening the whole week back and forth. I actually got another audiobook. As much as I have the book itself, I don't find a lot of time where I'm able to just sort of like mentally stabilize myself to read. Too many distractions and anxious thoughts. But the books in the car are working well, especially for the long drives. So I started listening to Stephen King's Dark Tower, the Gunslinger, the first book, and I'm like 40 minutes from the end of it. It's much shorter than it was. So yeah, enjoying that. I listened to that on the way back. And that was it. That was like me, coming home in the rain and just kind of another great week. Really good shows, had a good time. I was really worried at the beginning of the week how the shows would go because it's been a while since I've been on stage doing much. Not to mention the fact that Carol, the middle act, was only doing 10 minutes. So we didn't have any opening acts and we didn't have a full 25 minute middle act. So all that extra time I ended up doing. So I found out that week that I was doing like 40 minutes a show. And it was good. Like I felt a little rusty going in, but everything went great. I had a great time with Matt and Carol. We also played some board games on Saturday. That was kind of funny. We played a game called Beastie Bar, which they both liked. And we tried Sushi Go, which I don't think either one of them liked. You play a game that's 3 rounds, and after the first round, Matt's going, so how many rounds are there? I go, okay, there's only 3. All right, I get it. That's a big sign you don't give a fuck with this game. But we had fun with Beastie Bar. On Sunday morning, I had a writer's group. And it was myself, Kamar, and Paul Crummy. And it's a good time. We pitched some ideas for jokes. I talked a little bit about some joke ideas that I was working on. It was nice to sort of, contribute some stuff. But I had a really good conversation with Paul. Kamar was in and out, having cigarettes or whatever. And I think at some points he walked into the other room to watch TV. But it was mostly Paul and myself talking. We talked for several hours. So good conversations. just good reflective stuff on life. You know, he offered me some perspectives that I'd never heard before. I was offering him some perspectives that he hadn't heard before. And we were just talking. He was talking about life and some of the things that he's struggling with and stuff he's going through. I did the same. Again, like I said, I'm really finding this is what I was talking about earlier, is I'm really finding that if you talk to somebody and you're honest and sincere with them and you're even willing to you know, make yourself a little vulnerable, other people are willing to do the same. You know what I mean? Like if you make conversation a warm climate, then people can talk about just about anything. And I'll take this opportunity to push my own bullshit where I really think that that's a problem with a lot of things going on right now, is that people are not willing to just be vulnerable. Everyone wants to get mad at everybody and yell at everybody and, you know, tell them they're stupid or they're this or slap them with labels. That's a real one. You're transphobic, you're racist, you're sexist, you're chauvinistic, you're mansplaining, like all that shit, right? And it's just, you know what? If you just talk to people, like put yourself in a position where you can get hurt, right? Because that's where it's one of those no risk, no reward things. You know, so put yourself in a position where you're a little vulnerable, wear your heart on your sleeve. And then, you know, sometimes it'll suck, but for the most part, at least from my experiences, especially as of late, is people are really connecting with the fact that, you know, I'm being honest. I'm trying to, you know, this is what I'm going through. And, you know, if you want to talk too, then, you know, we can share different perspectives and stuff like that. You know, I'll try not to make this every week. The point is, I had a really good conversation with my buddy. We had a good chat and it went really well. I went out and ran some errands, of course, with the old lady, and then came back and played some board games. I've got these. Again, I'd really like to know what sort of stuff that you guys gravitate towards more in the podcast, because as it stands, I tell you about my week, but there's some things that I could spend more time talking about, and there's some things that I could spend less time talking about. So as usual, contact at onemanpodcast.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I had a great talk too with Isaiah in Kingston. I didn't realize he was a listener to the podcast, but he listens to them all. And I had a great chat with him. Again, same thing. It was nice to just sit and chat with him. I'd love to know more of you guys who are listening. Brent, I know you listen to the podcast out west, and I'd love to know what you get out of it. You know, I enjoy hearing from you guys, each and every one of you. I hear from time to time from my buddy Cam in London, and I'd love to know how you're doing, pal. Like, I know everyone's going through stuff. Every now and again, you guys will message me outside of this, and we have a little chat or whatever. And I'll just, for what it's worth too, I hope that everyone, some of the people that I'm not as close with personally, I hope you guys know that sometimes when I'm short with like Facebook messages and stuff like that, it's not that I don't care or I don't appreciate you there. Just sometimes I'm in the middle of other stuff, and I'm not in a position to sort of go into shit. But I want you to know that every time you guys reach out, it does mean the world to me. I appreciate the fact that you're out there. I appreciate the fact that you're checking in. I want you to know that it's super, super important to me. And I hope, that's why I say, I hope you feel respected. I hope you don't feel like I'm tossing your connection aside. My buddy Mark Forrester, I haven't had a chance to get together with him in a while. We've been meaning to get together. So just all you guys out there, I really do appreciate it. But like I said, if you have the time at some point ever to just fire me an email, something that maybe you're willing to share with everybody else, maybe something that you're going through. Cause I'd love for us to be able to just draw strength from each other. Sounds like a witch coven. Let me draw from my sisters. I don't know. It's just, it sometimes it feels nice to not be alone in some shit. Like I've talked with some other people who are podcast listeners and stuff, and just some of the shit that they're going through. And I'm not going to put anybody on, you know, in the spotlight that doesn't want to be, but I'm just saying, like, I think a lot of people can connect with where some of you guys are coming from, and it would be great to shoot the shit. But regardless, you know what? Some of you are listening to this because you don't want to think about your problems. You want to get away from it. And that's totally fucking cool. I'm good with that. So that's why I ask you guys to, you know, just let me know what you do enjoy by the podcast. Do you like when I talk about movies? Do you like when I talk about board games? Do you like hearing about my week? Do you prefer when I just talk about random goofy shit that pops into my head? You know, how do you like the bathroom reader articles? Do you guys enjoy those? Is there something, do you like when I do shorter ones or longer ones? Do you like ones that are more informative or more just goofy abstract? You know, anything like that, just any kind of feedback, because at the end of the day, I want this to be as entertaining for you guys as possible. And if that means me not really talking about myself, then I'm good with that. You know, what kind of guests do you like hearing? I know it sounds like I'm getting you guys to fucking write the format of the show, but at the end of the day, I want to know what you like. I ain't got them fucking network TV focus group money to be like, what did you think of this? I don't like his fucking voice. I wish that fucking guy would stop talking about his goddamn mother. I'll tell you that much right now. I'm very big in Brooklyn. Anyways, point being is I played a new board game. With my mother. It's kind of funny because I was with her running errands, I think a week or so ago, and I was picking up some stuff, bought an expansion or whatever for a game called Seven Wonders. I may have mentioned that already, but it's a really cool game. It's the way it's set up is that everybody's sort of in charge of a civilization, and everyone has sort of a hand of cards in front of them. The way the game plays out is that every civilization sort of manufactures a resource. The cards in your hand require a resource to buy them. So you basically, everyone's got a board in front of them. So let's just say, for make it simple, one person's got Babylon, one person's got Rome, one person's got Rhodos, I think is one. Anyways, the point is everyone's got a civilization. And then everyone's got a set of cards in their hands, and you can decide whether or not everyone picks a card out of their hand. So you can decide whether you want it to be like a military card or, a science card or maybe another resource or just a regular building. The point is that you pick a card and then you put it down and then you hand your deck to the next person, and it sort of goes around clockwise. And so the idea is that as you're playing the game, you're picking a card, you play it, but then the cards get passed around. So you don't really know what's coming to you or what's going to be there in the hand the next time it comes around to you. So you build a civilization, and then you can sort of look and see what you have versus what other people are doing, and you build your strategy that way. So the whole idea of the game is that you're building your civilization up. And then at the end of these rounds, you sort of compare your civilization to the people around you. And there's 3 rounds. There are ages, as they call them. But the whole idea is just, it's a fun little game where you're building up a civilization, and you got to keep an eye on what your neighbors are doing. Because if your neighbors are building up militaries, well, then you're going to lose points because you're sort of strong-armed by your neighboring cities, right? And vice versa. You can do mathematics and stuff like that, and you gain points for being more advanced, technologically, or what is it? Not community, but there's something are just buildings like bats and this and that. But the buildings, structurally, you gain victory points, or maybe you have a ton of resources, or markets or things like that. So it's a fun game. Anyways, it's a really good theme. Game's called Seven Wonders. I cannot recommend it more. Easy enough to learn, but it's really fun. It plays different, and it also plays up to 7 players. So it's a game where the more players you have, the more cards you have. So it gives you more options. And there's the game I played with my mom on Sunday there's actually a 2-player version of this game. It's designed the way it plays out is different because you've only got 2 players. So it's almost like solitaire. So instead of passing cards around, you got sort of like a solitaire deck in front of you, and everyone, just take turns picking cards to build your civilization. But my mom loves the theme. She loves anything historic or whatever. So she played Seven Wonders with me, really enjoyed it. I told her about Seven Wonders Duel, and she picked it up. And so when I was driving home on, late Saturday night, I just, I do this for her. This one is kind of pussyish, but I'll be honest. It's just whenever I'm traveling, my mom likes to know that I either got there safe and I'm home safe. Doesn't cost much. And you know what? I get it. You never know. People are driving and texting. And they're not as good at it as I am. So they get into accidents. So that's something I do. So I was just calling her late Saturday, be like, I'm home. She's like, I'm playing Seven Wonders with your dad, but we don't know how to do this, and we don't know how to do that. So I actually stopped at her house because it's on the way to my house, and just showed them how to play with each other or whatever. And that was kind of cool. And then on Sunday, after running around there, and she's like, you want to play that game? So like I said, it's kind of cool to see her, getting little hobbies and things that she's excited for. Like the fact that when I called her, she was already playing with my dad. That was cool. Like I said, it makes me happy to know that she's got some things that she enjoys and that she looks forward to. On Monday, yesterday for me, 2 days ago for you guys, I was at home, and I was pretty unproductive. I was fucking around in the mornings, dragging ass. I got a busy week ahead of me. So, I had certain things on my list that I was going to do, never ended up doing them. Tidied up a little bit, but it was really just like kind of bare bones bullshit. I was expecting a shipment from Canada Post, and I was kind of like, you know what? I don't want to go out and do shit. And then I don't know about you guys, but I fucking hate coming home to those door knocker things. Like, oh, we just missed you by 5 minutes. You can pick it up in 3 days when we finally bring it back to the fucking depot. Like, how do they miss the delivery and they can't get it back there and you can pick it up the same day? You know what I mean? Anyways, it's not really that big of an inconvenience, but you get excited for shit. I have no patience. I hate ordering shit offline because I know I have to wait for it. You know what I mean? And so the idea that it's like, it's going to come on this day, and then it's always like a day late, and then finally the day that it comes, they fucking miss you, and they leave you the goddamn door knocker, and then you can't pick it up till the next day after lunchtime. But guess what? You're at fucking work. And then you have a show. Anyways, the point is eventually you get your shit. So I was just like, you know what? I'm working all week, and I have Monday during the day off. I was like, fuck it. I'm staying home till this package comes, and I'm going to do it. And you know what? It was nerdy stuff for Seven Wonders. I bought a box organizer. So I did that. I built that. Put it together. Oh, super nerdy. And then on Monday night, I went with Crystal and the kids to go for a hike around Mer Bleu. It was just something we were talking about, and like I said, it's been nice to spend time with her and the kids. You know, just in case anyone's wondering, we're friends. We're having a good time. I'm enjoying being able to see them more. You know, it's been nice having her back in my life. We are just friends. But, you know, especially with everything going on and trying to get a good head on my shoulders for happiness, whatever. It was cool. Like, we saw each other some weeks back. It was nice having conversations, and, it's cool. She's, you know, she was always a good friend. She was always a good friend. She was my best friend. And, in talking about being vulnerable and stuff like that, like there's a lot of stuff that I've shared with her, and I gotta be honest with you, part of me is scared that I'm not going to be able to share certain vulnerabilities, with somebody else in the future. So, I mean, I don't know how healthy I'm being with certain aspects, whatever, but it's nice to spend time. It's nice to have conversations. It's nice to talk with someone who's kind of, you know, at the same time, she's, you know, not to spread her personal stuff, but she's working on similar things to myself. You know what I mean? And it's cool to kind of have a kindred spirit in that regard. You know, we both are aware that, you know, we're putting ourselves first, and that's kind of cool. So it's nice to be spending time with someone who's got similar goals or whatever. And I get to see the kiddos, which is fucking awesome. So we went for a nice hike. There's a hike, walk, run, whatever at Mer Bleu. So that was kind of cool. And then I came home and got some shit ready for the podcast. That was my Monday. Today, I went to work at the hot tubs place again. Still a little stressful, still a little frustrating, but it's work, gets me out of the house. I woke up today and I was down. I was kind of down. I had bad dreams, but I can't remember them. So I just remember waking up with a really bad feeling, today. And I don't know why, but I seem to have these days where there's not a damn thing I can do about it. Which is a powerless feeling, right? A lot of people want that sense of control. Another thing that I talked to Paul about was just how a lot of situations people want to have control over them, you know, and you could do a lot with control. Control isn't always a negative, but you know, if you have control, then you're in control to make a situation better, right? Or change things for the positive. Yeah, I woke up just shitty feeling. And of course I was like, I had to be there for 8:30 in the morning. So I was like up, breakfast, dressed, go. And of course it's a job that stresses me out too. So I was having a down sort of morning, but I actually took the bull by the horns, and regardless of the fact that I had work to do, I decided there was some shit that I needed to do. So, for starters, I decided I need to, when I was walking with Crystal, I came up with a new idea for a joke. I had pitched some new ideas when I was sitting down with Kamar and Paul. And, I was just like, okay, you just came up with some funny concepts that made people laugh. You need to work on them. So I got on the phone and I called Absolute Comedy and I booked myself for a spot, at the club tonight, which I just got back from, before starting the podcast. I have another spot tomorrow night, which is Wednesday, the day you guys are hearing this, at Absolute Comedy, working on something new. And I'll be doing a guest spot at Saturday's late show to just sort of work on it and see how I'm doing. So yeah, coming up this week, those spots. But first thing first was like, okay, you're going to do some new new jokes. You're going to go out on stage, you're going to do comedy, and it's going to be some shit you haven't done before. Mission accomplished too. But also during the day, I'm like, I need to go to Uber when I'm done, because my Uber status shit was all fucked up, and needed a bunch of documents. I don't know why they erased themselves. Nothing I can do about it. I needed to go to Uber because I wasn't able to, not able to Uber without going. So I told myself I was doing that. I'm like, as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to go straight to Uber, get that done. I also, now that was a full, 8-hour shift or whatever that I worked today. So it was kind of like at the tail end of the day, I'm going to do that. I'm adding that to a long day. On top of that, I decided that it was long overdue, and this is my kind of fun bit of exciting news, is that it was long overdue. It's been a very, very long time since I've performed at Yuck Yucks. I don't really know how to phrase it, but I don't want to say I had a falling out with the owner of Yuck Yucks. I didn't do that. It's just that years ago, he and I were trying to work together. And because of certain affiliations that I have with Absolute Comedy, or at least had at the time, it really limited me, and I wasn't able to I guess fulfill the deal that both he and I were working on, the Howard from Yuck Yucks. So I think when that happened, it was just one of those like, well, if I can't work on this, then like, there's no real point in me just showing up to do little spots and stuff. Like if we can't work together and try to build something together forward, then there's no real point. I don't know if I was just being insecure or what, but I just always had this feeling that I probably wasn't welcome at Yuck Yucks ever since. And of course, to limit yourself, if there's 2 stages in the city and you don't do one of them, that's, it's cutting your stage time and your development abilities and stuff in half. So, I felt like it was time to see if I could, it's a weird thing when you don't feel welcome, right? And I'm not saying they did anything to that. I just, in my head, I was like, well, I guess since we couldn't work together, like, I don't, can I even go there, whatever. So that's on me. So I reached out and was just like, hey, this, I hope you're doing well. And I think this is long overdue, but I'd like to know if you'd be interested in, in having me back, if you wouldn't mind me coming and doing some spots on the shows. And I also said to him, like, I heard him on a podcast a while back, having a conversation, and the podcast ended an hour. They're not like me. They're like, oh, after an hour, it's over. Well, I'm, me, guys, we're fucking almost an hour now, and I haven't even got to the midsection of the show. So I just remember, thinking like there was so much more that I wanted to hear, and he was telling good stories and asking good questions and stuff like that. So never had an opportunity to finish that. So I asked him if he would also be interested in maybe doing the podcast and sitting down with me or whatever. And Howard reached back out and said that he'd be interested in both, be interested in having me back and interested in doing the podcast. So I'm really looking forward to that. For anyone who's listening in the community, it's super awesome to be able to sit down with Howard and have a conversation and share some of the stories of Yuck Yucks over the years. I think it's incredible. And I'm looking forward to that. I don't have a date right now. I just like to make sure that it's going to work for his schedule, because again, I don't want to, see him, 40 minutes before a show or whatever and try to squish something out quick. I'd like to find a time that works good for him. That's that works for his schedule, to make it easy on him. That way, if we want to sit down and chat for a while, he can say everything that he wants to say and tell every stories and of course be able to answer the questions that I want to ask, which is just, to learn a lot about the wealth of knowledge and the just the amount of time and efforts and energies he spent into developing comics over, several decades in the audience. He's known so many people and helped develop so many people and seen guys, like he basically saw Mike McDonald start. He was part of Mike McDonald's beginning, rest in peace, Mike McDonald. So it's like, Howard was there at the beginning and the end. Like there's the alpha and the omega. Wealth of knowledge. I'm looking forward to that interview. I'm very excited about it, and I hope you guys get excited for it too. I don't know when it is. I'll let you know when that is, but that's kind of exciting news. So for a day where I was going to be stuck and just packing boxes and feeling like a grunt, I managed to, book myself some comedy spots to get my work with Yuck Yucks going again, or at least progress and growth with Yuck Yucks, and then, get the Uber thing fixed, which I did. I went to Uber after work. I got the paperwork done. I was missing something. I drove home, went back with it and made it work. Like, I had a productive day. I forced myself, like I said, I woke up feeling kind of down and a little bit lost and stuck and didn't sink. I used it as a good motivator to push forward. And I did not eat Haagen-Dazs or Little Caesars today, even though I drove past one. So anyways, it's been an interesting week. You know, I don't know what to say. It's been a lot ups and downs. No negative. Not trying to be boring or anything like that. I had a fun week. I did a lot of stuff. Fit a lot in, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else happens. The weather gets nicer and nicer. I can't wait to spend more time outside. Looking forward to Ubering in the morning again. That'll make things a little bit easier on me. I know some of the stresses will go away. Getting closer and closer to finishing 2017's taxes, which means that I'm going to be caught up on some of that admin stuff that's sort of been looming over me for years. You know, I know taxes are easy for some of you guys. I've talked about it. I'm not going to go into it, but I've been a few years now, just always a year or two behind. The looming over my head, just piles of paperwork. It will be so nice to just not have to do that shit. You know, get to a point where it's just, at the end of the month, I spend an hour or so just putting numbers and things and be done with it. Very excited. So that's where I'm at right now, guys. And I'm working on new jokes. We'll see where that goes. Just an opportunity to grow as a human being. And that makes me happy. So with that said, we're going to move right on to, some of those Uncle John's bathroom readers from my partners at portablepress.com, guys. And speaking of Haagen-Dazs, it was delicious. I don't necessarily have a sweet tooth, but there are times that I get really where I just gotta have something sweet. You know what I'm saying? And I was thinking about that like 2 minutes before I started reading for the article, and I came across this article, which I found relatively interesting and rather fitting. And this one is from Uncle John's Bathroom Reader, the Uncle John's Fully Loaded 25th Anniversary Bathroom Reader. And the article is called Candy Holidays. So Hallmark swears there's no such thing as Hallmark holidays. Holidays created solely for the purpose of selling more greeting cards. But what about candy holidays? Sweetest Day, the third Sunday in October. Billed as a second Valentine's Day in the early 1920s, Sweetest Day was invented by 12 Cleveland candy companies that wanted to create a holiday around the giving of candy to orphans, shut-ins, the homeless, and other people unlikely or unable to buy it for themselves. Their Sweetest Day of the Year committee distributed nearly 20,000 boxes of free candy, hoping to jumpstart the holiday and spread it nationwide. No dice. It's still observed in the Great Lakes region, but never caught on anywhere else. Japanese Valentine's Day, February 14th. It was introduced to Japan in the 1950s by a chocolate company executive who was trying to increase February sales. Because he didn't understand how Valentine's Day worked in the West, he set it up so women gave candy to men. Ooh, it's 2018. We should do that. A practice that continues to this day. Oh, I gotta move to Japan then. Still today, the guys get the fuck. No, I'd be fat as hell. That, and they'd probably cry. They'd just take one look at me and go, I can't buy for him too much. I assume that that's how Japanese people speaking English sounds. Might be a little racist. That, and I'm sure everyone knows I'm kidding. Watch the only emails I get from anybody next week will be people pissed off at me for my shitty Japanese accent. I'm so sorry. Please let me keep my podcast. White Day. There's one. Now let's fucking kick this up into anger fest. White Day. March 14th. Some might argue there's many more white days than that. White Day. A few years after Valentine's Day was brought to Japan, a marshmallow company created White Day to increase sales of their product. It worked. Today, chocolate given by women to male acquaintances on Valentine's Day is called Jiri Choco, obligation chocolate, and the recipient is expected to reciprocate with marshmallows or other gifts 1 month later on White Day. Candy Day, second Saturday in October. Invented in 1916 when Halloween trick-or-treating was still a local, not a national phenomenon. You guys remember, months back when I read the origin of Halloween? Sorry, I've lost where I am. That's what I get for patting myself on the back for being relevant. So yeah, invented in 1916 when Halloween trick-or-treating was still a local, not a national phenomenon. Candy Day was an attempt by the National Confectioners Association to spur sales during the slow months leading up to Christmas. We might still be celebrating Candy Day today had the United States' entry into World War I not forced the cancellation of the 1917 festivities. Attempts to revive it after the war were unsuccessful. And the running feed at the bottom of this page is the gym on the Titanic included a mechanical camel. Why? I don't know. But that, my friends, was Candy Holidays from my partners at portablepress.com. Uncle John's Bathroom Ringer. All sorts of fun facts that you can learn. White Day. Thank you, of course, always to them. Absolute Comedy. I just got back from a week in Kingston. Always good times with them guys. If you're in an area near Toronto, Kingston, or Ottawa, you should definitely check out a show at Absolute Comedy.
Absolute Comedy is the best live stand-up comedy from across North America, with locations in Kingston, Toronto, and Ottawa, Ontario. These comedians have been featured on Just for Laughs, Netflix, Comedy Central, CBC's The Debaters, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Conan, The Comedy Network, and much, much more. Go to absolutecomedy.ca to see this week's lineup. Planning a night out is easy with dinner and show packages available at all locations. Live comedy is a great choice if you're organizing a celebration, fundraiser, company outing, or corporate event. Want the show brought to you? They'll send comedians to your venue with performances tailored to your event, creating a night of laughs your guests will love and won't soon forget. So for showtimes, ticket prices, gift certificates, special shows, and more, head to absolutecomedy.ca. Again, that's absolutecomedy.ca for the best live stand-up comedy from across North America.
Oh, good times. And who else? Huh? When you're at Absolute Comedy, you might get a little parched, laughing so much your mouth gets dry. Well, what can you do to refresh that palate? You could sip on some magical Summersby.
The sun gives life to the orchard. The orchard gives life to the apple. The apple gives life to Summersby. Summersby is a delicious sweet taste of sunshine, imported across the ocean, all the way from Denmark. The people in Denmark are smarter, and so are you, if you drink Summersby. With flavors like apple, blackberry, pear, elderflower lime, red rhubarb, and a taste as regal as this fake accent, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And now you can try them all in the Summersby Mixer Pack, available wherever fine beverages are sold. So go on and try for yourself the crisp, refreshing taste of Summersby. Your taste buds deserve it. Please drink resplendently.
And we're back. And who did I forget? Huh? Who did I forget? Did I forget anybody? I did not, because I never forget my pals at DK, Dorling Kindersley. And now this week, I didn't forget to read a book. I just had so much driving back and forth that I didn't get a chance to read one. But I'm super, super excited to read the next one. They sent me a book about yoga. They've sent me some stuff about whiskeys. They've sent me some stuff about, the How It Works series. So, this week I'm going to take an opportunity to just say to you guys, if you haven't checked out DK's website, remember, like they have every kind of subject that you can imagine. So if there's something you're interested in, check out dk.com and just make sure you hit the Canadian site. I believe it's dkbooks.com or dk.com/ca to get to the Canadian one, or just dk.com if you're in the States, or if you're listening internationally, you can find whatever country you're in with DK. But all that aside is to say that they've got so many different things and all sorts of different stuff that you're interested in, project wise. So just for fun, why don't we go to DK's website right now, just for fun, dk.com. I'm going to hit that and see where we get. It's going to take me to the Canadian one. It's going to make me happy. Yeah, it's going to take me right to Canada. The magical. So there's the tool book. All right. And that one is one I actually had my eye on because they have the tool book is all sorts of different tools and how you use them and things like that. And it's actually got a foreword by Nick Offerman, who was, again, I was talking about him last week or the week before. From the founder. He played one of the McDonald's brothers that old Ray Kroc stole the business from, that old cocksucker. So what's really cool is the tool book is fucking awesome. It's on their main page. There's another one from the Smithsonian called Drive, and it's all about just different cars and different driving and things like that. Really, really neat book. They have one that's really cool, just called Pregnancy Day by Day. It's all about being pregnant. All right, fellas, I don't think we need that one, but you can get it for someone who you maybe got knocked up there. There's also some other stuff, like there's a really cool book if you have young kids, and I know a lot of you guys do, is that there's a book here called, oh, come on. It was just right here. Did I fucking lose it already? You know me. Maker's Lab outdoors. They have a Maker's Lab indoors and a Maker's Lab outdoors. And it's kind of like all sorts of fun little projects and stuff like that you can play around with. I did notice that these are available at Costco. So if you have a Costco membership, you can find all sorts of fun stuff there. And I'm just going to read this book description to you because I actually found it really, really cool and thought there might be some fun shit in there to fuck around with. But 28 science projects and experiments to be done outside will spark kids' creativity and help them develop science skills through hands-on learning. There's all sorts of really cool things there. Like I saw them that they had like solar systems and stuff like that you can make. But projects focus on Earth and the environment, plants and animals, rocks and minerals, and space, bringing science learning home and into the backyard. Young scientists can make a cave system and find out about underground rivers, construct a working model of tectonic plates and learn about earthquakes, build a telescope and look to the planets and stars, and more. Supporting STEAM Education Initiative and the Maker Movement, Maker Lab Outdoors includes 25 interactive projects to inspire kids' creativity and their scientific side. And as the founder of Maker Fair, Dale Doherty, says, to realize with their hands what they can imagine in their minds. So that's it's really cool. With stunning photography, succinct step-by-step instructions, and detailed explanations, Maker Lab Outdoors takes readers on a journey of discovery, a must-have for every young scientist curious about their surroundings, and for makers, crafters, and those who enjoy exploring the outdoors. So, yeah, I mean, and again, that's just one example of all of the cool stuff that they have on DK's website. Again, with all the Marvel stuff going on right now, they have shitloads of Marvel, they have shitloads of DC. Again, very crass of me to be swearing during a review of them, but of course, my partners at DK take very, very good care of me. They're big supporters of the podcast, and like I said, I was a big fan of theirs prior to them coming onto the podcast, and I still, every month when I pick up some new stuff or when I see it available, it never ceases to amaze me how awesome their stuff is. So if you guys ever want a recommendation or anything like that too, if you're thinking about something, like I said, I do tend to know some of you quite well. If I see something from DK that I think that you'll enjoy, I typically will fire you guys a little message or whatever. But I love the books. I can't wait to have another one for you. I got to figure out which one I want to read and tell you about next personally. But hey, if you have some time, jump on their website. Like, you will be pleasantly surprised at all the cool stuff that they have on there. Again, to think that they've got books that are as specific as, whiskeys and things like that. You know what I mean? And how to be a wine sommelier and, different food projects. They got some great books on just how to do meal plans and make them easy. And anyone who's thinking is like, well, why the fuck don't you? I am. All right. I'm going to read their stuff about making meal stuff, but there's too much mushrooms. I don't know. I'm just joking. DK, guys, check them out, my sponsors. So thank you to all of my sponsors, as always, Absolute Comedy, portablepress.com, Summersby, and of course, DK. Thank you all for being a part of the show. What do we got coming up this week, guys? Oh, more Hot Tubs Ottawa. As a matter of fact, I'm getting text messages from York at Hot Tubs Ottawa right now. What is the second? I forward it, not leave it plugged in. Oh, unforward it. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out. I fucked up, so I'm just trying to figure out what I did wrong. I think I forgot to forward the phone or whatever. I'll double check. But yeah, so back to Hot Tubs. Is my last day there tomorrow, so I'm going to do some of the stuff for that. Doing a spot at Absolute Comedy tomorrow night. Right. Thursday, I'm doing some acting. And by acting, I mean I'm going to be an extra. So I'm going to be sitting around all day waiting to sit around on set for a few minutes on camera and then probably get edited out of the final product. But I'm going to take their money. I'm going to do that. Friday and Saturday, I got LCBO tastings going on. And then, of course, Saturday night, I'm doing another spot at Absolute Comedy, trying to get these jokes a little tighter, see if I have some new minutes in my set. I think actually Saturday night, we're doing another writers group as well. Oh, did I just commit to doing fucking Saturday night? And then I'm going to be doing a spot. I'm an idiot. So yeah, doing a spot at Absolute Comedy. We're doing a writers group on Sunday morning. And then back to the gym, taxes, and writing. Just to do some stuff up like that. So looking forward to a week of productivity, hoping to have some fun experiences and I have some fun stories for you guys next week. So coming up right now, oh man, my buddy Chris has sent us a nice email. So again, if you guys want to send in emails about anything for any reason, contact at onemanpodcast.com. I would love to hear from you. Chris writes, "Hey Josh, I'm glad to hear that my submission of onesies, or however the fuck I wrote it, was chosen as our collective nickname." You did write onesies, motherfucker. I have the proof of it. As for the $50 gift card, I'd like to put it into Auphonics so that I may continue to enjoy your podcast without my speakers crackling when you get a little too excited. Seriously though, it has worked wonders in cleaning up the audio. Well, thank you very much, Chris. It's very, very kind of you to throw it back into the podcast. I do appreciate it, and we'll make good use of it. Well, since I have everyone's attention, I might as well tell you about a video game I've thoroughly enjoyed, Firewatch, which is developed by Campo Santo, who were just picked up by Valve Corporation, who also did Half-Life and Portal, and then back to Firewatch, and is available on PC, Xbox One, PS4 for around $20. But I got it for $5, is what is excitingly referred to as a walking simulator. So Firewatch is a walking simulator. A great example of a walking simulator would be Resident Evil, but without the zombies. You travel around, usually on foot, looking for clues and solving riddles that uncover a hopefully worthwhile story. I don't know if I would agree with you that Resident Evil is a walking simulator, because the original ones were not, and these ones are like over the shoulder. The newer Resident Evils are like over the shoulder, first person shooters, kind of like Gears of War. I think walking simulator, I don't know what would be a good example of that, but I don't know if Resident Evil's the right one, Chris. I don't think you're right on that, bitch. Firewatch is played in a first-person perspective. You begin in an elevator. Unsure of what to do, you are soon prompted to pick up the backpack that you probably didn't notice sitting on the floor. The doors open, you walk up to a truck, toss your bag in the back, and drive away. From this point on, until you reach your tower, snippets of gameplay are peppered between dialogue choices that appear as text, with the end goal of informing the player as to why you took this job working in a Firewatch tower in Wyoming wilderness. Once you reach your tower, you are introduced to Delilah, the disembodied voice over the two-way radio, who is also your boss in the neighboring tower. She is the one who will send you on your daily missions throughout the game and be your main source of conversation. The game has a lot of walking around with a map in one hand and a compass in the other. You can actually have your location displayed on the map, but it's more immersive if you rely on your compass and your map alone to find your way around the large but not insane wilderness. And selecting how you want to react to the dialogue choices you are given, all the while questioning your sanity as events around you play on your newly discovered paranoia. One day you must confront a couple careless teens who are setting off fireworks during a fire ban. Another day you have to go see if the communication line that was supposedly damaged during a storm is repairable. Really very exciting stuff. This is a kind of shitty review because not a whole hell of a lot happens in the game, which kind of appealed to me. Too many, I think it's just to TOO, many games have a convoluted story that bores and confuses me. Wow, I really made myself sound dumb. Confusing stories make brain cry. As I was saying, because the story is really only about yours, Henry, and Delilah's newly formed working relationship and the doings that are transpiring, Simpsons reference, saying anything about the storyline could be a spoiler. Gameplay, although containing frame rate issues on my standard PS4, is very fluid, not clunky. I don't know what words to use. It played well. The animation is a charming, cartoony look, but not so cartoony that it comes off as childish. Yeah, the best way, when I was reading your email last night, the best way that I could say it is that the kind of looks like Wreck-It Ralph. So the animation from Wreck-It Ralph, the big hands and things like that Ralph has, that's kind of what your character has going through it. So I would say the animation like Wreck-It Ralph is the best way to think how this game looks. And the voice acting is great. Really, that's what makes a great game for me now. It could have the best graphics ever, but if the acting is trash, it can suck it. Actually, Henry, the protagonist, is voiced by Rich Sommer of Mad Men, Netflix's Glow, and other things I don't know about. He is also a huge board game nerd like you. Thanks, Chris. I could go into details about the audio tour, which is where you play the game, but with audio commentary cleverly placed throughout the world in the form of information kiosks that contain an audio tape that you listen to on your virtual Walkman, but I'll leave that for everyone to discover on their own. I wouldn't recommend this game to everyone. If you only play Call of Duty just to kill time until the release of the next Call of Duty, then you will hate this game. It is slow and you don't kill anything and you can't tell anyone that you fucked their mom. At least I don't think you can. There are a lot of dialogue choices that lead to other choices. Who knows what the right combination could unearth. Yeah, I laughed so hard when I first read that because I don't know if anyone else understood that. But like, you can't tell anyone you fucked their mom, which is basically just online gaming, yelling at strangers, the most hateful shit. But like you said, there are a lot of dialogue, like, at least I don't think you can. There are a lot of dialogue choices that lead to other choices. Who knows what the right combination could unearth. But if you're into a single string storyline that doesn't end in a Hollywood cliche, then I'd give Firewatch a try. Word to your mother. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I bought Firewatch a while back. I haven't played it yet, but it really is the kind of thing, if you're interested in a story, there's a lot of games for PS4 and Xbox that I find are kind of more about the visuals and the experience. There was a really good game that I played earlier this year. While it was short, you can finish it in an afternoon. The game Journey was very, very good. Very, very visual. There isn't a word spoken in the whole thing, but you can sort of tell the emotion in it based on just the sounds and the music and the lighting and everything like that. So sometimes it's nice to do something that's just a little more artistic, like you said, instead of just whipping out a sniper rifle and blowing someone's head off or whatever. There isn't a whole hell of a lot to that, to be totally honest with you. So, I get it. It's a game and there's skill and shit, but sometimes this is how I play games. And I don't know if I've already mentioned this to you guys. I'm sorry if I have, but I like to play video games that have things going on in them that I can't just do in real life. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not big into sports games. And while the immediate thought is, well, Josh, you can't play sports in real life. Fuck you. I could get there. I can pick up a basketball. I can bounce it around. I can throw it at a hoop. All right. I don't like driving games because I can get in my car and drive. It's not, it's not a car that'll do 150 or whatever, but it's just still staring at a window. I don't really feel the difference or whatever. And I'm not enough of a gearhead that, if I change the flywheel, whatever the fuck that is, that it's going to, I'm going to notice a difference in driving. It's going to make it all worthwhile to me. I'm not trying to play a game where I learn how to be a mechanic. So I don't like those ones. Games where it's like shooters, military, pick up a gun and shoot somebody. I'm like, it doesn't really do it for me. A lot of these games are shit that you can do in real life. People play FIFA. I don't get it. I don't get it. Soccer, so boring. But anyways, that might be a line that I should put in my joke. I got to write this down. Of course, as always, I can never remember it. I was doing a joke tonight about running and how I hate running, and there's never a good reason to do any running. Running, if you're training for soccer, right? We can all just pretty much admit that that's the worst reason to run. Sorry, just making a note. Soccer. All right. So yeah, I don't know. I like games. The games that I like are stuff like Resident Evil, where I'm fighting zombies and stuff, and there's puzzles. I got to solve shit to open doors or whatever. So again, you're never going to fight. You're never going to be against zombies. That's not a real thing. I will play shooters and stuff, but I'll play shooters that are like, you're kind of like weapons that are really space agey and, again, puzzles, shit, scenarios that are never going to happen. I like games like Assassin's Creed, where I'm jumping off really tall buildings and I'm trying to find someone. And then story is very sci-fi. Like I will play a game for a story, same thing. Grand Theft Auto. Now I'm driving cars out of the backs of planes and hijacking trains and shit. Like that stuff's immersive. And I find that the story is, again, very engaging, very exciting. So I too will play a game for the story. Things that I can't just go out and experience, or very close to them in real life. Those are the kind of games that I play. So I like the little, the Lego games and stuff like that. I find them to be very fun. I like anything where there's like puzzles and challenges. You know what I mean? I like to learn that, see if I could do them, faster, any kind of problem solving. I used to play the Call of Duties. I enjoyed them when they were in World War II. So Call of Duty 2, Call of Duty 3. I just remember after like around the time, not too long after 9/11, I think was when like the first, maybe a few years after that, and the war on terror, and we're going after Osama bin Laden and all this shit. And I didn't like that the Call of Duty games shifted to, modern combat. I know the games are called Modern Warfare, but I'm trying not to plug the goddamn thing. But the idea is that like now it's the U.S. versus the terrorists. You know what I mean? Like every opponent in those games was the terrorists, right? And so I really didn't like the idea that these games were reinforcing the negative stereotypes that were starting to really creep into the world. Anybody who's over there has got to be a terrorist, and you're doing your duty to get the terrorists. And I was kind of like, you know what? I find that this is a very young, it is a very interesting way of I don't want to say brainwashing, because it's not necessarily what they're trying to do, but just the idea that like, that people will be killing people and they're just going, oh, but they're terrorists. Like, no. That just because they're from that country doesn't mean they're fucking terrorists, and you should see the shit that people in North America have done equally. So there was just, I don't know, there was something about, wanting to play a game where I'm just constantly murdering terrorists, kill terrorists, anyways. So that's where they lost me. It just became a little too, I guess I liked it better when it was like the Nazis and they were just straight up evil trying to take over the world versus, find a handful of terrorists in a bunker and kill them because it's your Call of Duty. You got to make sure you do it, boy. So anyways, yeah. All right. Well, fuck whatever. That's the podcast for this week, guys. Thank you as always to the sponsors, DK, Absolute Comedy, Summersby, and PortablePress.com. If you guys have not yet followed us on Twitter or Instagram, liked it on Facebook, subscribed on YouTube, it's love to have you. Love to have you out there. There's more content and stuff like that I try to post on those there. I didn't get a chance. Actually, I got to make sure I post the Infinity War poster. Not that you guys really, you know what it looks like. I've had it out there before, but just a little promo out there for it. So I hope you guys have a great day. Whenever you may be listening to this, I hope you have a great week, of course. And I look forward to talking to you next week. Hopefully have some good news about how well the jokes are going, how well my personal growth is going. Man, it's going to be sunshine and lollipops in 2018, baby. Talk to you next week.